All right. Gentlemen, welcome back to The Grit.
Rarely do we talk shit on somebody and have them come right in for the next show. But this is a special day.
We've got a good sport on our hands.
We've got a fantastic sport on our hands.
Were we talking crap? I didn't go back and listen.
I did.
How brutal was it?
I went back and listened. I'll quote you.
Oh, no. Throw me into the bus. I'm the nice one between us.
No, not last week. You said,
I'll apologize in advance, Chuck. Sorry.
No, don't care. Not going to watch it. Not into it. I don't like gimmicks. That was your direct quote.
That was about Ben Gravy.
No. About Chuck. You put Chuck Patterson, who is our guest today, and Ben Gravy in the same bathtub together.
You did. It's funny. And Ben's a good buddy of mine, and he's a hard worker.
He's a good sport,
you know. But the one thing I do like, I mean, when I had a couple people, send me the link, and they're like, "Dude, I don't know if you've heard this. You got to check this out." And I'm thinking like, "Oh man, this is kind of scary," But when you do things, little off the grid and little weird, that you should be expecting of it. So it's it is what it is. So when I first heard it, I was like, and my girlfriend's just going, "What the." And so I'm just, give it some time. And I was going, okay, hey, you know what? Totally into the, you got to get a little shit talk here and there, whatever. And then you guys you guys talked about me for 45 minutes. So I was kind of like, good publicity, bad publicity, they're talking. So, and nowadays that's a big thing. So it was great. It escalated, got better and better. And then you guys kind of broaden the field, and you're all, well, he's a fit guy, he's old, and then you got Pete, and so there was some props for us being older and doing our thing, and then the novelty thing came out, and I was intrigued, let's put it that way. So then when you guys opened it up, like, it'd be kind of cool to have him on the show, and I'm like, that's it, there's my end.
I think that while David Lee did the most of the shit talking, he also did compare you or say you are the new Laird Hamilton. So didn't you?
I remember using the phrase action hero. Real life action hero, which I stand by. Let's focus on that part of my. Okay, so Chuck, considering we spent 45 minutes, we're going to give you the floor to defend yourself, to lambaste us, anything you want. You've got your opportunity.
And/or real quick, before we give you the floor, let's get some history, because I have many questions about Chuck Patterson, where Chuck Patterson came from, how Chuck Patterson came to be the world's first and foremost big wave skier, etc. Do you have any questions? You don't have questions, David?
I got a ton of questions, yeah. I just wanted to to make fun of us if he wanted to.
Okay, yeah, make fun first.
It's fair game, what I mean?
No, in all respect, it's actually I dug it, and nowadays you kind of have to have an open mind anyway. So for me, I thought it was really cool, and I'm very stoked to be here right now. Honored to kind of face the flames, so to speak.
There's no flames. It's all in jest. I mean, honestly, it's all in jest. And I'm not saying this to backpedal or anything at all, but I have zero negative feelings about anybody we've ever talked about. It's just fun to riff and to and we're filling 90 minutes a week, making it fun and entertaining, or trying to make it fun.
Well, you guys did a great job, and you guys pulled out a lot of points that probably people do wonder, and probably some, in my mind, myths that people have an idea on, let's say, of me being, coming from a lot of money and whatnot. So let me break the ice with a little history.
Yes, please.
So I was born in the Bay Area, so basically San Leandro, Oakland, California, Northern California, and then moved to Europe, to Munich for about 6-7 years. And German was my first language.
For military or?
My dad was a nuclear physicist, and my mom was studying physics, and she was a professional ski racer. So that was kind of where the sport kind of, that just kind of gripped me, and my mom took me under her wing, and that was the thing. So I went to a school that was run by nuns, and I got in trouble all the time, and it was the quintessential story of, like, I had to hike through snow to get to school was exactly what it was from this church. But nonetheless, loved it. It was awesome. It kind of created basically my trail to life on what was going on. And so then we moved back to Berkeley. And my dad, being a big nuclear physicist, he worked for the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory and the Berkeley Lab, and was huge in the Berkeley, college system and all that, and wrote a bunch of books. And My mom got into real estate, and she became also a professional windsurfer. So she was racing and going all over the world doing her thing. And for me, skiing was our big thing. I started skiing when I was 2 years old, and we spent a ton of time in Europe, and then back in Lake Tahoe areas where I kind of grew up, and pretty much weekly we were up there skiing, and that was our thing, and that's kind of what I knew, and got into surfing when I was 13, so kind of a late bloomer. Went to Hawaii to watch my mom compete in an event in Maui, and little bit embarrassing to say, but I got a boogie board.
That's okay. Boogie
started,
books in the new punk rock.
Yeah. Started out on that and never touched a surfboard until I bought a surfer mag for the flight coming home. And then I was like, dude, that's what I want to try. Got home, made it, worked for my dad and, my mom in the garden, whatever, doing, whatever it took to make money, and got my first surfboard in Ocean Beach in San Francisco. And then that's kind of where it started for me. And it wasn't, we obviously, our family worked super hard. We didn't make a ton of money, but we lived in a good place. And the most important thing was travel. As far as having a polo shirt and simple things in school that we thought was the cool thing that would basically give you acceptance, that was out the door. Just to get a pair of Vans shoes to skate with took me a year, and I had to buy them. So it was a lot of. I mean, I have to say I wouldn't trade it in for anything, because I learned a lot about work ethic and working hard for what you want. And then when it came to surfing, we lived 2 hours from San Francisco when it came to taking buses and stuff. So I kind of caught the bug, and we lived in Oakland, and I 4 a.m. would skate, basically butt board down our super steep hill with a surfboard under my arm and a wetsuit and a backpack, and I'd get to the first bus that left that day in the morning, and I'd get on, and there'd be nobody on it, and I'd go all the way down to East Oakland, and I'd get on the BART, which was Bay Area Rapid Transit, which was the train that went underneath the bay and ended up in San Francisco. People would look at me, and I have black guys just go, bro, dude, what's up? What do you do? It just kind of, but I mean, it kind of hardened me, and I'd get on, be in San Francisco, and then I'd get on the Anjuda and take it straight to Ocean Beach. And it was like a 2-hour mission, and I'd surf, and it didn't matter if it was raining, windy, or whatever, I was in the water. And I dug it, and I made a ton of friends with a local crew there. And we surfed Kelly's Cove, and then finally made some friends that had a car, and we'd go to Fort Point and Dead Man's and all these epic spots that pretty much were my mainstay when I started to grow up and get my own car. But that was my thing, and I would skip school for the first 2-3 periods, and then I came close to flunking out. And my mom and dad at that time separated, and he lived a mile away just over the hill, and my mom threatened me to put me in boarding school and go to Navy or something like that. And I thought I was super badass and had it all handled. I'm like, no worries. So I would take this test they called, I think it was the ASVAB test, and it was a placement test. And I would take it, I think I took it like 8-10 times to get a better placing. And I thought, I got this handled. I know what's going on. My mom doesn't. My mom, was like, all right, well, you're gonna enlist. That's it. And then I had my buddies that I skated with from school. Basically, one day just took me aside and said, dude, this is the last time we're gonna see you. And they scared the shit out of me. I mean, they were like, dude, the government owns you, and that's it. And surfing and skating, you can kiss it goodbye. So we obviously didn't know how the system worked, but it was enough to scare me. And I said, you know what, I'm moving to my dad's. And my dad, being a strict disciplinarian, was like, all right, if you're going to do that, then it's my rules, and that's it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to dig in. And so I went to an all-black school for the first, I think it was semester, and learned a lot about myself, learned to keep my mouth shut, and made a ton of friends, being kind of the funny guy in class, always getting in trouble, and made some great friends, and got super into soccer, and just had a different lifestyle. And then I started really putting my head down and doing my homework and getting things done. And my dad said, look, if you apply yourself, I will get you anything you want, no problem. And so I figured it out. came home, busted my butt, and it was so easy. I don't know why I didn't do it before, and I ended up getting straight A's. And my dad was like, "All right, I'm going to take you to the beach and surf." So he didn't come from surfing. You know, he was scientist, and that was his thing. But for him to take me out there, and he knew nothing about it, and we went. I remember we came up to Half Moon Bay to watch a surf contest at Princeton Breakwater, and we're watching it, and I'm trying to figure it out. And my dad, after like 25 minutes, figured out the different color jerseys and whatever, and you know, was basically explaining how the heat worked. And I knew nothing different, so I was like, "Hey, Dad knows best," and I checked it out, and then I was like, "All right, I'm digging this," you know. And then my dad kind of just. I started learning just after hard work that you could get anything. And for me, that's kind of where the surfing bug started. And then I had skiing in my back pocket, and I started to follow my mom's footsteps doing the windsurfing tour. And as I got older, I started to figure out you get sponsors, you make money, you can travel the world. That to me was my click. That's what I wanted. And I just kind of followed in that footstep. And going back into skiing and stuff, as I grew, I got better, and I was racing and doing like the freestyle tour and doing certain things. But it was all regimented, doing the same thing every day. And I didn't dig it. And so there came a point where they had the free ski movement, which was basically skiing and snowboarding, you know, off cliffs, and this contest series started, and I kind of really gravitated towards that. So I quit that, and I really just followed my drive and passion for doing different things that had action, and it seemed like surfing and, you know, skiing and snowboarding and windsurfing, all these things kind of complemented each other. And I was super into skating in between all that. So that pretty much kind of laid out my plans for living, you know, for growing up.
When you were surfing all OB and everything, you were still skiing at the same time, or no? Did you totally lay off skiing and then?
No, skiing was our big thing. Like wintertime, there wasn't a year that went by. I skied, you know, pretty much all winter long. And then there'd be times where we didn't go up. And that's when I would, you know, take the bus to Ocean Beach and be there. And sometimes I'd be there for the weekend. And I have a good friend of mine that was a pro boogie boarder, Mike Shaw, that his parents had a house there. And I would leave my boards there. And she would call my mom and say, "Yeah, he's safe, all good." And I'd spend my time there. And it was a great way to grow up because I didn't have parents hovering over me. But I think back then, it was a little more trust. I mean, it was back before phones and computers, and it was like 20 cents. Call me, make sure, you know, you're okay, and let me know when you get back home, whatever.
The the whole big mountain thing, when did that really spike in terms of, I mean, was that who's the squaw guy with the
Glenn Blake,
yeah,
with the Mohawk,
exactly,
yeah.
I mean, is that your era?
It was, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That was that, and Scott Schmidt. Those guys are a little older than me, but they were kind of who we looked up to. And there's like Mike Hattrup. There are a couple guys that were, even Mike Slattery, who we all know, who does the high surf. You know, he does the rescue sleds, and he was one of the big skiers back in that day, and then obviously moved to Hawaii. So it was kind of, for me, I knew nothing but skiing, and then once I was introduced to surfing, and then doing the windsurfing, the water thing kind of just all made sense. And then I got into snowboarding right when it kind of, or a year after it kind of went big with where Burton came out with its, you know, 165 Cruiser, the back hill, and I made a snowboard at Woodshop just out of plywood and fiberglass, and gave it a little kick to it, and it had no rails. It was just fiberglass bottom, and I remember stapling cut up wetsuit to make a foot strap so I could put my Sorels in it. And I'd hike up Squaw Valley at, you know, during closing, the one area that had a ski jump, and it was this insane glade that get a ton of powder. It would take me like 45 minutes to get to the top, and then I just slide my, you know, boots in and just surf the powder, you know. And I didn't really, you know anything. I couldn't afford a snowboard, but that's where I was like, dude, basically blends together. And then I ended up in that time, I spent a little more time up there and ended up working for a snowboard shop. And then instead of making money, I basically put it into getting a new board. And then just certain things kind of just started to roll out and make sense.
You were talking about making a living, like sponsors and then traveling the world and all that. Were any of these crossover sponsors? Were they sponsoring you just for skiing?
No, so that was the weird thing. My mind was all about doing everything and not being pigeonholed in one, and I got bored with one thing if I was doing it all the time. So I really loved, basically going from skiing and then the next day going to surf, and you always had to kind of reboot your system and relearn a little bit, but it worked, and so the biggest sponsors I got at the beginning was all skiing. And it was like, I was getting, I don't know, maybe 15 pairs of skis, back in the day, it didn't matter, from K2 or whatever. And then I had a clothing sponsor, and then I was making money for photo incentive and then also travel. So I kind of got smart and just would hook up with guys that were making a little more money than me, but would take me under their wings, and I'd kind of go along for the ride and try to just not pay too much out and just be on the coattails and make the most of it. And then that money that I had left over, I would use to go to Hawaii for, on the most bare minimum budget possible, and just kind of make it work. And then I had a bartending job that I had in the summertime that I just did a bunch of bartending at night and then worked construction during the day. And I started just raking in money and having the sponsors. And then, as things started rolling, I started kind of putting money away and figuring out the best, way to spend it. And for me, it was travel. And it was just like I wanted to travel everywhere and meet the best people and kind of just be in their, in their jet stream and figure out how they made it and how I could make it work. But it wasn't like just surf. It was weird. Like from skiing to surf, it kind of rolled into so many different sports. And spending a lot of time in Maui, I kind of opened my eyes to so much more. And then that's kind of where the lights just exploded with just so many things to do.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 52. I will be 52 in March.
Have you been able to figure out how to make it all work? How to find some sponsors or somebody to fund? I have to say, I mean, you can look at my Instagram, you can look at my smile on my face and what I drive and this and that, and anyone can just say, dude, that guy comes from money, from his family or whatever. No, to say, have I figured it out? I have figured out how to be eternally happy, to be in the water every day, and to still be able to travel. Bare minimum, hanging on people's couches, staying at friends, getting a hotel to, give, free rooms or something, like just, weird things, but not to make it look like I'm just, homeless or anything, but I worked construction, had a killer business, was very successful. Once I started, every sport, as I started to kind of like rack up all these different sports, and I'd make a goal like, I want to win the world championships or win the biggest contest in that sport. And that was my goal. And I got into windsurfing. I kind of learned a lot, but I did really well in racing and made good money, traveled everywhere. But then I got into kiteboarding and spending a ton of time living in Maui. That's where I started to make money that was kind of like, I could just stockpile it, travel, most of the time work and do all my stuff in Maui and live the life, get a ton of magazine, coverage.
Basically coverage and then videos, and then, it worked. And then from there, I dabbled into tow surfing, and then finally the sponsors that were just, basically just wanted winter, just ski or just surf or whatever, started to open up and go, wow, dude, this guy's getting coverage. I'm getting Powder magazine covers. I'm getting weird shots in Surfer magazine. And I wasn't a pro surfer. I was just a guy that dug surfing and really enjoyed big wave surfing. So I just was just hungry, and I started to figure out where I could make it work. And then I hooked up with some sponsors that believed in me and carried helped let me carry the torch all year round, whether I was doing stuff for them for 6 to 8 months, and then I'd have, 4 to 6 months of stuff doing ski, and I'd use some of that money for that, and if I explained it to them, they'd be like, dude, we don't need to pay all year round. But I made it work, and I'd kind of start to figure out how can I keep them happy and make the whole thing go. And then once social media started and Instagram and Facebook, I wasn't really into it, but my sponsors were the ones that basically threw me in and said, hey, this is good for you. It's good for us. And you can share, with an audience. And back then, Instagram was about pictures, it was about art. And so I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then it grew, and I'm still figuring it out, and I don't have it dialed, and I've probably blown it many times, but I've had some good sponsors that I still have today, like GoPro and Nash and a couple others that have stuck with me, and I've learned to be creative with photos. My video editing sucks. I don't have patience for it, but I've pulled out a couple here and there, and then I've had just a lot of dumb luck.
Post more selfies. The selfies are key.
Where did you first fall in love with big waves? Was it in San Francisco or Maui?
Living in the Bay Area, as I started growing up and whatever, and I think when I was in my 20s, I moved to Marin County and had worked construction. Lived with a buddy of mine that was a big wave surfer, and we would travel. We'd just drive across Gold Gate Bridge every day and surf Ocean Beach. And many times during the wintertime, it was macking. And I remember the crew that I stuck with, which were really good surfers, back in that day, that they were guys that, did repping for Billabong and Rip Curl and whatever, and were really good surfers. And I hung with them, and they would go out every day, and suddenly I figured out I had to get a longer board. And I just remember 45-minute to hour-long paddle outs at Sloat Street, and just trying to make it out, and then learning the rips. And when it came to big wave surfing, it reminded me of skiing. And I was like, dude, I dig this. This is good stuff, And so spending a lot of time doing that. And then once I went to Hawaii, having warm water, and, I ended up making a plan and going, all right, I'm going to Hawaii, the end of summer, and I'm going to stay all the way until the snow flies. And there's a ton of snow, so then I can just go back and slide right into doing what I do best, doing contests or shooting for mags. And then that's where the money just kind of worked out. But my love for big wave surfing, whether it was towing, paddling, I think the tow thing really blew up, and I was at, right place, right time. And I kind of really got into that so much more. And it just, things started to kind of fan out from that.
When was the first time you skied a big wave? What was the inspiration behind?
And what's the genesis of the sport? Are you the inventor of it? I mean, no. I don't know.
So to clarify on all that, it came from skiing. Growing up skiing in Squaw Valley, Lake Tahoe area, we hung with a solid crew of guys. And Shane McConkey, Red Bull athlete, famous skier, that really pushed the limits and kind of shaped how skiing is, from the thin, narrow skis to now what we're all skiing, the parabolic, the real wide skis, came from him. And we were in Alaska. He had skied this insane 2,000 pitch steep powder run on a pair of water skis. And he ripped it better than anyone on a normal pair of skis. And it was just, for him, he was always one of those guys that thought out of the box but made it work. And I was always super inspired by him. And during that time, I was putting my time into Maui and going there before winter, and bought a ski and was putting my time in at Jaws and at Sprex and hanging with Dave Kalama. And I was just super lucky to hang with people that, are super legendary, but at that time I didn't know, and we were just all good friends. So they really helped me pave the way of making it easy for me. They always, dude, we're going up to Jaws. It's going to be firing. Let's go. And way before, we had vests or impact vests or any of that. We were just in a pair of trunks, taking beatings, and we were riding, 750 Yamaha jet skis that, when you go to pull, with the rope, you'd basically pull the whole tail out, I mean, it made no sense. I can't even believe it even worked that we made rescues, So back at that time, and then And then skiing at the same time, Shane was like, dude, this whole water ski thing, you need to do it on big waves. You're one guy that has it dialed in both, and you should give it a try. And I was like, yeah, whatever, So I let it go for a year, and then I finally got a pair of jumper water skis, which had no side cut, no nothing. They were just giant planks. And I said, all right. So I went out at Sprex, and it was a pretty big day, and I just got whipped in with jet ski, and I went like 200 yards, but just straight. I couldn't turn, couldn't anything. And I didn't have ski poles, which is another thing, but I just had my hands out like doing the airplane like you're a little kid. And I didn't dig it. I mean, I got a bunch of waves, but it wasn't what I envisioned in my mind. So I was over it. So I tabled the idea, didn't even touch it for probably like 5-6 years. Then I had 2 friends, Mike Douglas and I'm spacing on the and Cody Townsend, which are extreme skiers, rippers, very respected in the mountain zone. They took some time and got a bunch of different designs from different people and shapes, and they went to Maui for like a month and put their head down and tried a bunch of different things. Came out with a sick little edit. Someone posted it and sent it to me, and I was like, dude, your ski idea, it's blossomed. It's like way better. And so I checked it out, and I was like, wow, dude, that's what I envisioned. I was like, no way. So I called those guys and was like, my mission is, where do I get those skis? Where do I get them? What's the best ones, whatever. And Cody and Mike were just on it and said, hey, this is who you need to contact. I got a pair of skis, and then I got also a pair of kind of a plastic ski that they also made with the same mold, but those I snapped right away. And then the ones that they made were like an epoxy, which I still have, wooden core. And it was all about, you put the ski bindings on and ski boots because it was a lot stiffer. It was rigid. You could really angulate. And, when it's big and bumpy, you're just sending these big, mogul fields, on the water. And, the boots make more sense. I mean, you could really just make it work. So when that all came about, got everything, and my head was, I came from skiing. If I have the ski poles, it helps me angulate, and I can stand upright, and then my hands aren't, just waving in the air.
So it's a feeling, like a natural feeling.
It's a feeling, and it helps you with body positioning and angulating into a turn. Like if I don't have, it's almost like when you're doing a bottom turn and you put your hand down, you know where you are. You know exactly when you do an arcing bottom turn on a big wave, you put your hand down and you're all, oh yeah. You bring it around and you can snap. And it was the same kind of feeling with skiing. It may have looked a little funky, but for me, it felt so natural. And
but they don't have skis on the bottom of the poles?
No. So it was just poles. I basically just used it for kind of touch drag, okay, where I could feel. It was just an extension of my arm without putting my hand down. And I had to figure out, I had to put, floaties on the bottom or, just below my hands. So if I did lose them, they would basically float. And so I got everything together, and we went to Morro Bay, and I towed there a bunch at a lot of spots. And we went out to this rogue, like big A-frame wave. And I remember I had a bunch of my buddies, and we were just dropping the jet skis in the water and at the ramp. And I had this bag because I was embarrassed. I didn't want to let anyone know what the hell I was doing. And so I had my ski boots in a bag, and I put it in the front hash, and I had this bag, and I put it on the side, and they're all, what's that? Oh, don't worry about it. And then I had my tow boards on the back of the sled, and we drove out, and the guy I was driving with, Eric from towsurfer.com, good buddy of mine, knew what was up, and he was like, dude, I'm down. Dude, don't even worry about it. We're going to make it happen. So we get out there, we tow, it's going off, and I said, you know what? I need to break them out. So I got everything going. That was kind of my first time ever really putting them on and grabbing the rope and jump in the water and had everything. And we take off. And dude, I just remember the first wave, he basically gives me inside whip, and I take a ton of speed, and the A-frame kind of just ramps up into a big wall, and I let go, and I just slide across the wall and then carve kind of a bottom turn and just start going right on this big wall. And I was just blown away how much speed and stability these skis had. And I was like, I could totally understand it from that first wave. And the wave, I kind of turned and I just started to figure out I had to be in the pocket the whole time. I couldn't go way out on a wall and then suddenly just sink. And the wave, I kind of arced, turned back in to kind of fade back into the pit, and the thing blew up behind me, and 20 feet of whitewater just hit me in the back. And I just remember just leaning back into it and just kind of wheeling out and skiing, basically skiing out, and then kicked out into the channel. And I was like, dude, this is it. This was a feeling that I was looking for. And
but did it feel better or substantially different from tow surfing a regular tow board? I mean,
way different.
Like the whole sensation.
The whole sensation was different. The only thing that really made sense was letting go of the rope and having that whip and that sensation of that speed going across the wall, and then being able to not really bottom turn, but carve, kind of like skiing, which I've done my entire life, and bring it back. And then I was like, dude, this is me. It made sense. And then after that, I ended up getting a ton of waves, and a guy took a shot from the cliff or something like that, and that was like the one shot that went into the back of Surfer magazine, and that's when the hysterics turned into like, what the F is this guy doing? And back then it was kind of a cool novelty thing, but for me, it was kind of the beginning for me of like, dude, this is totally doable. I need to go further with this.
So it's not a novelty at all. Like there is a real practical. I mean, obviously, in anything we do, it's just about fun at the end of the day, right? Yeah. But there is a real fundamental practical thing to skiing big waves.
I think for me, it was, I think it's like with any of us that do something that's a little bit out of the norm. There's a passion, there's a goal that we have in our head, whether we know where it is or not, is to complete the task, either to failure or to success. And for me, I saw the green light, but there was so much more to learn. And I was like, well, if it works good on this, then I need to keep going. And so we ended up hitting a slab wave, Mouse Rock, which is Central Coast, and a lot more of a dredgy wave. And I started kind of figure out and putting time into it, and started getting these mini barrels and cover-ups, and I was on it. And then the guys that were kind of around me were kind of stoking the vibe. They're like, dude, that is way crazy and effed up, but you make it work and it's badass. And so then things kind of got crazy, and I started figuring out, well, I got a bunch of magazine coverage. I started getting, little video clips in Europe, and then money started coming in. And I was like, you know what? Why not be smart and just keep going with it? And so when it all came about, that was just this little thing that I did on the side of everything else. I still went and surfed big waves, whatever, but it was this little project that I had in the back of my head that I just wanted to keep working on. And I didn't have to do it all the time, but there were certain times when the waves got big, I took them with me, and that's what I wanted to do. And so when it came down to really pushing the envelope and going to Jaws, that was a couple years in the making. I had the guys, I reached out to the guys, Mike and Cody Townsend and those guys who kind of had a slalom. It was from Solomon. It was Free Ski TV, and he was like, "Dude, we'd love to shoot you going to Jaws for your first time." And I was like, "Cool." And Red Bull was into it, and so I thought, you know what, great. I put my time in at Jaws. I've many days of towing there, and we have this swell, and it was a perfect window just to make it happen. It wasn't the most perfect swell, but it was like, let's do it. So we went out, we did some B-roll, just going out, walking down the ramp and getting some cool stuff. And then I tried the skis and, just doing whips just in flat water, and everything worked great. And then the next day was pretty much, a solid 20-foot swell, but it was really, the storm was close. So it wasn't like the most perfect, but it was good enough. And so I remember we were out there, ton of Brazilian, teams on skis, and bunch of local guys, but it was crowded and it was gnarly, and there was a lot of hype on the swell, and the swell came early and then suddenly started to get windy, or getting the normal Jaws wind with a little bit of onshore and funky. And I thought, you know what, got a couple waves. I came here with something to do. I've got the pressure of guys on the cliff, guys in the helicopter. I don't know what money's being spent, but I need to kind of, I need to put my foot down and make it happen, and don't be a talker, And so I remember putting my skis on, and I was kind of on the left, and I wanted to be away from everybody. And we had our boat there and stuff, and my buddy, and so I put everything on, and I was like, all right, dude, let's just go out. And I just remember just just doing the full on, this little prayer to the man upstairs, just going, just get me through the first wave. I don't want to go down, because the one thing is you put your ski boots on, it feels like you have cement shoes on, and then you click them into these bindings where the only way you get them out is by clicking the heels. Yikes. And when shit goes down, you're going to the hospital.
I mean, how dialed in, how tight are your bindings?
I've always had them tight, and they're all race bindings. So I kind of released them to where I didn't want them to come off if I hit something or whatever. So they're pretty tight. So I wasn't coming out of them.
But if you wiped out, there'd be no way to get out of them.
No.
You're underwater being sunk.
Underwater being slammed, probably getting my legs ripped around or whatever. And I kind of was just like, dude, be smart, pick the right wave. And I remember he tows me out, and there's like 6-8 teams out, and we're waiting for sets. And he tows me. I mean, it's like a big red flag. I might as well be wearing Speedo. I come out, everybody's like, what the and there you can hear Portuguese, everybody, and then everybody's going. I remember Dave Kalama, out there, and he was all stoked just to see it because he's a big skier, and I remember waiting like 20-30 minutes, followed on a couple sets, a couple teams would just take off on you, and then I was like, you know what, let's just go left, I don't care. And we take off on a wave, the helicopter's up, I'm trying to just process going straight, when do I let go, I hope the guy on the ski can basically give me a whip that I've got a ton of speed. And sure enough, we're on this left, and all tow teams are going right, and I'm like, all right, this is it, let's go. And he keeps going, and he gives me this whip, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on it. I let go. At the same time, the helicopter drops down, and the rotor wash, from the blades basically comes straight down on me and slows me down on the wave. And the wave hasn't broken yet, but it's starting to build. And I'm right at that thing. And the funny thing was, with my ski poles, I'm sitting there in the video just planting my poles and leaning forward, just trying to make that momentum to get forward. And I end up getting on the ledge, and I thought I wasn't going to make it, and I just, for some lucky reason, ended up being right on the section that pitched, and the whole thing just threw, and I kind of did this little cornice drop, landed, and just straight line survival, made this bottom turn, and just, hitting bumps and stuff, and just trying to just keep it going all the way. And I made it to the left and went down the line and kicked out, and my guy zipped over, and I just was like, it was like this huge burden lifted off of me that it worked, and I grabbed the ski, and I'm zipping out, and boats and skis, guys on skis are just screaming, just going, because they wanted to see me eat shit. Yeah. And it would have been probably rad. But the fact that I made it was impressive. I was impressed, just because it was just so much getting into it. And then I ended up getting 2 more waves. And then I just remember one thing that Laird had said, that, going out at Jaws, you don't want to be greedy. You get 1 wave, you're stoked. And you go for a couple more, you become greedy. And that's when the shit goes down. So I remember getting 3 waves. And I was overwhelmed, and just the stoke, and, it was just so much adrenaline, and, finished those waves, took everything off. And then by that time, the wind got on it, and we ended up towing and getting a bunch of good waves, and then going in. And the next day, the swell was a little smaller, but better. And we went back out, and just my partner and I, and we ended up towing for 3 hours by ourselves. And I was on the skis the whole time. And that's when it just became like natural. Like it was just like skiing at home, and just doing big turns and just ripping in the pocket. And I just kind of was in the groove.
Does a left feel different than a right on skis?
Kind of, yeah. Cause I feel it's a weird thing. Like surfing, obviously, if you're regular foot, goofy foot, going front side is always better. But for some reason, and maybe it's just because I took so many rights, they just felt more comfortable. But going left skiing, I mean, you're looking at two different edges, and it's kind of the same, but rights are definitely, for skiing, seem to be a lot easier for me.
I mean, the right at Jaws is better than the left anyways, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So at this point, I mean, currently like 2021, how many guys are doing it?
So just to backtrack real quickly, when all that kind of went down, that video went viral.
What year would that have been?
The Jaws video, yeah?
Yeah, the one, yeah, and that was a while back. I don't know, maybe 10 years, maybe a little more.
Okay.
kind of went viral. And then guys in Europe, just in the ski industry, there was guys in France that were like, oh yeah, dude, we're on it. And then I'd get these messages and, on Facebook going, hey, how'd you make your skis? And I was kind of like, I did all the work here. I'm not going to just throw it out there. And I said, dude, they're just, just get a pair of skis, make it happen. But there's a lot that comes into it. You have to have big wave knowledge. You've got to be kind of an aggressive skier. And then you have to have support in the water that supports what you're doing and doesn't think you're an idiot.
Are you on water skis still, or are they parabolic skis that you're on now?
No, they're a custom water ski with a snow ski influence in detail. They're really thin.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's and granted, I never looked at this as being a sport or that it's going to be a new sport. This was something in my head. After talking to Shane McConkey, that he's passed away now, but it was something that, it was my duty for myself, and then also to him to go, you know what? Yeah, what we think isn't that crazy, awesome. And it worked. And people were like, dude, is this a sport? No, I look at it as definitely a novelty thing, because there's only maybe a handful of guys, if that, maybe 3 that are doing it. And for me, granted, I hadn't done it, I did it here at Mavs, and I hadn't done it before that for probably 3-4 years, maybe wow. 3 years. And, I've hit a bunch of different waves. I went to Shark Park off of, Channel Islands, San Miguel, and got insane surf there with it. So it's been one of those things that I love tow surfing, and it's still just such the sickest feeling. But if we're doing that, I always want to have my skis, because it just brings back what I grew up from, and it gives me that little slice of, this is where you came from.
What is the holy grail? Have you skied Nazare?
No, so that was kind of my big thing. My whole before Nazare was, I wanted to get a legit barrel like at Chopu. We respect that for surfing as one of the heaviest waves. Nazare is definitely one of the biggest, heaviest as well. But Chopu, in my mind, is, for surfing, it's one of the pinnacles of like, that's the shit. And on a big day when it's towable, you could easily, definitely see God, And so for me, I thought it'd be pretty rad to, if it were to ever happen or whatever, to go on a good tow day, nothing giant, but on a more of a south swell where it's got more south direction, where the barrel stays open, and try to pull into a couple barrels. And just, even if I didn't go to Nazare, just to make it a couple out, or even just one, and not get hurt, and just put my stamp on it and say, hey, I'm done. I can hang these up.
So that's it. So a proper gaping ski barrel is
totally, because it's surfing. That's besides size wise, but a big barrel is pretty much, dude, I want to be that guy, or that guy's the shit. And for me, it just allows me to throw a nail in the coffin and say, that's it. I'm done. I did it. It was a crazy idea. It's whatever, but I want to do it all the way to the end. And if I eat shit and go down, I'm still going to be happy, because I went all the way following the idea in my head.
It seems likely. A wipeout seems a lot more likely. I feel like you could mitigate the wipeout at Jaws by kind of easing your way from the shoulder closer to the peak. And then even if you wipe out on the shoulder, hopefully you don't get sucked over the falls. For sure. Chopes, it's like you're guaranteed to have a wipeout out there.
Yeah, I mean, just the way the wave bends at the end, and I've towed it a couple times, and I body surfed it where I really kind of learned a lot about the wave. And that wave is super heavy for surfing, anything, and you add something like skiing. Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster.
It is.
So in the lineup out at Mavs, is like everybody knows you out there now, right? I mean, so
it's been probably a good 6 years since I've been there on a big swell. Back in the whole tow day, we had, I hooked up with Jeff Clark. We've been good friends for a long time, and we had a 100-foot Wednesday. That was the first time I really towed there with Carlos Burley, and everybody was paddling the pit, and we ended up towing Blackhand, which is a nasty, like Swiss cheese, effed up, Dungeons barrel, whatever, so we started towing that at the beginning of the day, because the swell was massive. And we were like, we're not going to sit and watch these guys, and hopefully it turns to tow. And I got a couple insane barrels, double wave hold down where I was pretty much done. And then we ended up going over and we were watching guys starting to tow, and Carl was like, dude, it's on. And so I got one of my biggest closeouts ever that ended up being a 2-page spread in Surfer. And I was pretty amped. And I remember that day was massive. And we had waves coming in, and then we all went in and then went up. We ate lunch and then went up to, the peak to look down at it. And that's when we saw the 100-foot wave come through and just wash through. It's just that rogue wave. And so that was kind of the last time I saw that size. And talking to Jeff Clark when we came for this swell in the parking lot, there was like, the paddlers are going to go hard, and I have much respect for paddlers. I mean, like, I'm stoked on the movement. It's great to see where the people are putting it and that they're pushing it, But there's a point where if you're letting waves go by, I mean, by the hundreds, and that's what we saw. There's so many barrels go by because everybody was so wide. It's tow, and it was a tough swell to kind of sit there and watch, but much respect. Those guys are paddling. I wasn't feeling it. That wasn't my point. I wanted to go there. I had my tow board and I brought my skis going. If there's a possibility, I've always wanted to do Mavs and I want to do it. So we were there. I was shooting. It was a great reunion of seeing everybody from Powerlines, Productions, seeing Peter Mell and his son. That was kind of an awesome thing. Twiggy Baker, all guys that we would run into the same thing when we went to Cortez towing, chasing swell. I'd get to know everybody, and it was just a brotherhood, that it doesn't matter if I came from skiing or roller skating, it was just a respect when we're out there. And so it was great to see everybody, Jeff Clark, and obviously Kai I've known forever, and so it was cool, and got to hang out with Lucas Chumbo and guys that in my mind are the epitome of really just pushing it, and so being out there, I had a camera and was super stoked to shoot some stuff with along with Fred Pompermeyer and hang out, and it was cool to see. But then we started seeing these sets coming every 45 minutes, and just a very select few, maybe 3 or 4, like Twiggy and Jamie Mitchell throwing it down, and Peter Mell, just going off, and a couple of the young kids. But so many waves went unridden. And in between that, everybody was sitting so wide that these, 40-foot face barrels that were staying open, wide open, were going by the hundreds. And we were all looking, and the guys on the skis that were, doing water safety were just going, dude, we should be towing right now. And then Peter Mell, would zip by and guys would be yapping at him going, dude, it's tow. These guys haven't caught a wave in 2 hours. Like, it's tow, and so he got a sick bomb on his board, and then he ended up going out with his son towing him, and he ended up catching one of the big bombs. That was that one big bomb, and it was like, all right, but I wasn't about to pull the trigger and sit behind Peter Mell and just think that I've got that right. So I waited for a couple more guys to go do it, and in that time, guys were coming up to me and just going, dude, you going to grab a rope or what? Dude, it's on right now. And I'm like, I had it in my mind thinking the swell was going to get bigger. We got time. So I went away from all the boats. Took me half an hour to put my goddamn boots on, with ton of soap and all that. And I finally got them on and got my skis on. And it was like, whoa, dude, I hadn't been on this for a while. So I had my partner, which wasn't really the best guy to have because he hadn't been, driving ski and driving me because I'm an asshole. When it comes to having stuff done right and making sure that I'm not going to be in the pit or left there. And so we took a wave, hit black hand, and just did a kick out or whatever. And I was like, going, dude, let's not waste our time. Let's just go. And so he's a good driver, but by all means, it wasn't something that, in the back of his head that he's been doing the whole time, and he's ready. And so it was a little green. But I was like, you know what? I want to get at least one wave. I don't care. Just get me on the bowl and I'll make it to the, to the safety of the channel. So we're out there, we pull up, and there's 6 skis, Jeff Clark, everybody, and Lucas Chumbo's looking at me like scratching his head going, okay, these guys are a little weird, but let's get some waves. So then a set came, and I said, hey, let's just get in line, let them go. They got it, and they all went for the first 2 waves of the set. And then a third one came, and I turned around and I said, dude, let's just take it. Let's just go. Let's go. No one's here. So we went on, and it was peaking way outside the buoy. I mean, way, way far out. And it was peaking there, and then it would kind of hit a deep section, and then you kind of had to make it through that, and then it would bowl on the inside. So I took off on that with a good amount of speed. And then my wave, being the third wave, seemed a little bit smaller. And once I got to that little deep section, it started to kind of fall back and just turn into a mound. And I had a lot of speed on the skis, but on a surfboard or a tow board, you've got so much more glide, having a bigger surface area. So I was just kind of doing the same thing with the ski poles, just get me forward. And I remember getting to the top of the pinnacle, and I even, just for fun, as I was going by, everybody was, way on the shoulder. I just kind of went into a little speed tuck for, like a split second and laughed, and then just did this big bottom turn, and then it started to kind of hit the inside bowl. And it wasn't, mind you, like the biggest bomb or anything. I mean, I wanted it, but it was a great wave to start on. And got a bottom turn, came up, and started to hit the inside, and just did this big, kind of just roundy kind of, gaffing turn, and then kind of straightened out, and then hit a couple bumps, and then made it to the safety of the channel. And my guy went around everybody and came and grabbed me, and I said, dude, let's go get another. And the cheers that I got from, and adrenaline's going, so you don't hear everything, but it was so loud of guys in the lineup, like, they were just screaming, and it wasn't like, kook. It was just like, they were just, I think, half blown away, and then blown away that I made it, and it wasn't like a new thing, but I think for some, it was like, what the F is going on? And it was rad. And then the boat and everybody was just going off, and, guys in the jet skis that I've known for a long time were all, yeah, Chuck, right on, dude. And so I went back out around everybody because I didn't want to be in the middle. And we sat out there and waited for another 40 minutes. And, we tried to, get a couple, but they weren't making it through. And I didn't want to go through the lineup. I didn't want to disrespect or be the idiot at the end of the day that was like, dude, the guy on skis went out and just his driver went through everybody. So I was like, all right, let's just get the last one. And so at that time, the set started kind of mellowing out, and then the pack kind of moved more over to the peak, and so I was like, man, we really have to get a bomb that these guys have to paddle for, that I'm already on. So we tried a couple, they just didn't make it all the way through, and then I didn't want my driver to just pull me all the way to the inside and then be facing those guys. And so we just called it, and I was super bummed because I wanted so much to get like a bomb set to just, kind of floor myself, but going, I knew I could do it, and then at the same time floor people that were just like, what the hell? But he got a sick bomb, Yeah. But at the end of the day, I kind of was like, you know what? I came there to do it. I should be thankful for getting one wave and being stoked that everybody at Mavs was accommodating. There was no issues. We weren't there, driving through anyone or being unsafe and idiots. And so the respect was still, up there, and I kept it on the medium and could walk away like no big deal,
For those 45 minutes that you're waiting for a wave, are you sitting on the ski?
No, so I'm basically just on the rope, and I could sink the ski, so they're kind of below me. I'm kind of standing on them, and I'm kind of just chilling, and we're just chatting, and that's when it was funny because Lucas Jumbo was, I think it was with Trevor Carlson or something, and they were together, and we pull up, and they had gotten the wave before me, and we pull up, and Lucas, I just remember he's just like, dude, you're crazy, but I like you, man. I like the way it's good way. He just had so much stoke, and that was kind of first time I really kind of got to hang with him. And he had such good stoke and vibes, and everybody there, even Jeff Clark, everybody was just like, dude, we're here to catch big waves, and it doesn't matter what you're riding. And it was a cool moment, to be out there. And so, when it all went down, we were sitting there waiting and just chit-chatting, talking, and then maybe readjusting where we were going to be. And we wanted to be more kind of like on the left side of Mav, so then you can go across and get the whip and then kind of slide in, and then the driver could go way around, without creating wake and stuff. So it was a little science to it for sure.
What do you get so a clip like that goes viral? What do you get? Is it just like, because that skiing, it was like headlines. I saw headlines everywhere, obviously. Yeah. But do you is there a way to milk that for you? Or is it just?
So for me, the funny thing is, look, I'm 51 years old. Many people would just be like, dude, I got to work. I got a family. I'm very lucky. My sponsors have been there. So, but it all hinges on social media, which we all know today. It's a whole different deal. It's not about surf contests, pictures, anything. It's social media, and half of it's kind of fake, and and people are rolling with it. And for me, it's just a way to share it, and it was really it's a tool for me to kind of get the name of the sponsors out there with me doing whatever sport it is. And so
how much press do you get? I mean, how much media do you get? Do you have
I don't have a massive following at all. I mean, I've like 40,000 and it's organic, but
do you have newspapers calling you up and all that after they see it?
Totally. And that was kind of the thing back, going back after the whole Jaws thing. I ended up having a company, Bogner. It's a ski company, world famous out of Europe, and Willy Bogner.
Ski
guys. And
ski ballet was the most beautiful thing ever.
Exactly. And it's all about the one piece, the stuff that's just like, whoa, but very expensive. Anyway, in a nutshell, he hired me 2 years to ski in full ski outfits that he made, and even a downhill racing
Willy
suit.
Did? Yeah. That is so awesome.
And I did that in Maui, and I made really good money. And I was just looking at just a simple idea of being a little bit crazy, but for a guy like Willy, that's not crazy. That's kind of, we're speaking the same language. So using this kind of cool, weird thinking and doing something a little bit off the cusp, gets eyeballs flying from different places, and that's where
is that Bogner stuff
money.
Online? Are those videos online anywhere? Are they accessible?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they are. And so for me, obviously the whole Mavs thing, I didn't go there to get that press. For me, it was a bucket list. I wanted to go do it on a big swell. It would be epic, and to get, it's like going to Jaws. You can, if you get a bomb, you're gonna get a shot, whatever. It'd be great. But I had friends that were there shooting, and they were like, "Dude, bring the skis. It'd be kind of sick." So when it all went down, we came in before the entourage and everybody. We wanted to get our ski out, and then my plan was to go down south and go home and hit a couple waves on the way back. And so it took like 1 to 2 days, for things to kind of go out, and videos started kind of flying. And I, at that time, started compiling some shots that were tagged to me, like, "Hey, Chuck, I got a sick shot." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'd be stoked to post it. Is that cool?" And so I posted the first thing was just 2 photos, and just a cool thing, but I knew it would be just kind of, whoa, dude. And from my ski following, I have a ton of guys and girls that follow me from that, because that's where I started, and they were super stoked on it. And then that's where these videos started coming, and where I was tagged in, and then I'd go, wow, that's a pretty classic one. And the one video where the girl is in the I think Jenny or whatever is, in the boat, and she's like, "Oh my God." I mean, just hearing that alone, and then everybody laughing, and then yet still going, "Dude, that sounds no way," that to me kind of made it, it just kind of, it was funny, but at the same time, it's not like I'm sitting there doing a snowplow. I was like going fast, gaffing a turn and whatever. And so that kind of steamrolled, and I put the videos together, and then my girlfriend's super on it, and she kind of put it out there, and hit up one of the news channels to just go, "Look, babe, I mean, this is really cool stuff. This is great. This is great for your following. We're in that day and age. Be smart. You have something weird like this happen. It doesn't happen all the time, so do it, And so we did an interview, and then that, with all the videos, started to kind of steamroll and go viral.
So you don't have any management?
No, I mean, I'd love to say that I, managed, but that was probably my downfall for a lot of things, where I probably could have been a lot more successful.
That's what I was going to say is I'm always kind of running a calculus of, I only work in the surf side of things, but I'm always running the calculus of who is successful and who isn't. And it's often not the most talented people. Yeah, It's like you see these unbelievable talents who just never quite congeal following,
exactly,
or even sponsors. And so the common denominator is kind of having either whether it's a management team or somebody who just knows how to manage themselves and leverage social media and all those to then package it for sponsors. Because even sponsors, to be honest, aren't that smart or savvy or know how to represent you.
Yeah.
Because you're nebulous. You're doing all these different things. GoPro's a perfect fit. There's probably a couple of brands that are a perfect fit who can touch on all these different sports. Like for Kai Lenny, Tag Heuer is a perfect fit.
It's awesome.
You know what I mean? And Nike probably too, and Red Bull. Those are perfect. And so I don't know if he was able to connect all those dots himself or if he had a management team do it, but you're too busy traveling around the world and doing all these different sports, to then also step back and globally figure out how to then tell sponsors how to market you. You almost need a third party to connect all of the dots, but you have it. I mean, and again, Laird, I feel like transcends surfing. And thankfully for him, he was able to partner with a really savvy entrepreneur and do the Laird Superfood thing and make $30 million in 2 years, essentially. And where he never focused energy on trying to convince Quicksilver or Billabong or O'Neill of his value. He just transcended it and was like, I actually don't need any of you. I can just do it on my own. And I feel like you have all of that same appeal. And not to flatter you, but good looks, kind of, I think even your age is an asset at this point, because there's so many aspiring fitness junkies who would look to you for guidance. So if you were pitching, whether it's a supplement or a T-Rex workout machine or something, like any of it would work for you, you know? Yeah. You just need the connected management team to kind of pull it all together.
I mean, and that's a point that I've kind of, I think, dragged my feet a little bit in, especially when I was skiing professionally and making really good money, and just I missed a couple huge, contracts, like 100,000 back in the day, because I didn't have my shit together, or because I was had my head in the clouds of just getting the next powder day or hucking the next big cliff or wanting to go to Maui. And it was like the business side. And then, like you said, there's guys that aren't as talented, but making the big coin or getting, huge, on Instagram and stuff. And I lost out to a couple of people like that, where I don't want to talk. I want my actions to be the words, and there was guys that I lost out to that were mediocre and knew how to get in there and either sleep with the right chick to get the marketing or get in there, party, whatever it took to kind of make it happen. And suddenly we're making the money. And for me, it's probably one of my regrets that I never really pushed it that hard. And for me right now, I'm still riding this. And for me now, it's really fun. I'm just riding this fun little highway and milking it. And I'm very lucky to have the sponsors that I have at my age, still doing what I'm doing. Do I feel that I'm a 51-year-old when I look around at anyone that's even 40? Are they doing what I'm doing? Not really. But for me, I'm having a blast. And my big thing is I'm having fun. I'm super supported by my family being there and whatever, not in money, but just going, dude, you're doing the right thing. You're happy. You're not in jail. You're not doing drugs. You're a good mentor, so to speak. And that's the one thing to have. My girlfriend's now, she's very on it, but to have a management, or someone that manages that knows it is really key in this day and age. And I'm definitely thankful for the help I'm getting from her, because it works, but it's tough. I've always done it by myself. I've never had someone to represent me and say, hey, Chuck, this is what we're going to do. We just need footage. We just need you to win a couple contests. We'll bring in the money. I kind of was like, I didn't want a middleman to basically tell me, okay, you don't need to ski anymore. You just need to stick to water stuff. And I had that with a couple companies that had the idea of going that route. And I was like, that's not me. I like everything. I don't want to be pigeonholed in one spot.
Well, having the right management team who understands what you want is key.
Totally.
You could easily hook up with the wrong one who tries to pigeonhole you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, where were you for this last major swell that we saw in Hawaii?
The last major swell, I blew it. The whole COVID thing really threw me for a loop. I was trying to do something last minute, getting tests, this and that. Here was a nightmare, and getting everything together. And I had my ski there. It kind of all happened so fast that I kind of had FOMO going crazy, and I just had to say, hey, dude, you've been to a lot of swells, whatever. But then looking back, I could have easily pulled it, and it was a dumb thing. So I ended up going to Mexico with some friends and exploring a couple islands that we did back in the day when we were towing, and we scored. Not epic like what those guys did, but we scored it empty and perfect.
Where is there footage? Are there images?
We just got cool shots, and then but it was stuff down in Baja, down halfway down, and
I love that you almost asked, where was it, David Lee?
What? Yeah. Wait, what'd you say?
You almost asked, where was it?
Yeah.
Well, he was going that route, but anyway, it was, and people that I've already, I posted one shot, and people are like, "Oh, dude, yeah, dude, I know where that is," and I love that's still my one pet peeve. You post something and you don't really, there's that little cardinal rule which is now washed away of like, don't print where you're at if you want to keep it still that way or keep the locals happy. And then there's always that one guy or girl that just goes, "I know where that is, dude. That's inside of Mavericks, dude. It's Half Moon Bay, and it only takes 50 minutes to get there." And I just go there and I just delete, dude, please, bro.
Yeah, that's really funny.
How do you feel about the Popeyes chicken sandwich? Most importantly,
Very
this is what I've been
important.
dying to ask you the entire time. I was just suffering through all your ski stories.
Oh my God,
like
dude.
thinking about a chicken sandwich this whole
Really?
time.
The funny thing is, I unfortunately haven't had it, and I've heard great things.
I've never had one either.
But
Chaz.
I would
I had one.
totally.
I was expecting Chaz to show up with 3 today.
I should have. I totally should. I don't think it's open early. Oh, they probably are. They do breakfast. Damn it. Yeah, I had it after the show last week. Went down and had a Popeyes chicken sandwich, but I probably would have if it was an A+. Maybe it was overhyped. I give it a B.
Is there a comparison to any other?
It's like a little better than Chick-fil-A. So, but not like so much better that like if the line at Chick-fil-A is small and the line at Popeyes is huge, just go get a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Sorry.
So it didn't live
Popeyes.
up to the hype.
No, didn't live up to the hype. But it was, that was a hyped swell of a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Overhyped. Surfline was calling it orange. A listener reached out from North Carolina and said, "You got to try the Bojangles Cajun fish sandwich on a biscuit."
I'm gonna have to try. Okay.
He said he'll send them to us. He'll ship them.
A Bojangles sandwich?
I looked up. There's no Bojangles.
Yeah, I don't
There
know
is.
where it is.
There's got to be somewhere in Riverside or something.
I looked it up. Couldn't find one.
Not one Bojangles.
No Bojangles.
Mesa, Arizona.
Maybe.
And spicy hot?
Um,
Was that what
it was a Cajun fish, is
yeah,
what he
yeah.
said.
Is Cajun automatically spicy?
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah,
is.
but if you're going fast food Cajun, it's bland. It's not going to be spicy.
Yeah.
They got to make it for the masses. It's not going to be as spicy as like your, local ethnic restaurants Cajun.
That's true.
So.
Your local Cajun restaurants, Cajun?
So this does segue into a proper question for Chuck is, do you eat fast food?
Like Kai loves Taco Bell, and I always give him a hard time, and I'm all, dude, you should be making millions from him. But
I honestly thought he was teeing up a
I
partnership.
thought he was going to go there, and he always like, I'll send him a message, and I'm all, dude, where's the Taco Bell on the ski, bro?
Yeah.
And he's like, I know.
So
But
there's no partnership. He just likes Taco Bell.
he loves it, and it's the funniest thing, and he will grab a couple bags of it. And I just remember when he was even younger, and he was all about it. And it's funny. Then there's Robbie Nash, who basically Kai, owns Nash Hawaii, who's one of my big sponsors. But that's how I got to kind of grow and know Kai when he was a little kid. And he's the same way. He loves fast food more than anything green. I mean, Red Bull, doesn't matter what fast food, that's his thing. That's his game. Anything green doesn't have to be, but he is all about fast food. And so for me,
hang out with Robbie Nash.
Yeah.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
I mean, I eat really well. I love to eat. I'm super active. I train a ton. I'm not this quintessential like trainer guy, but I train to keep myself out of the hospital. So for me, I love to eat. And if it comes down to it, I'm on a road trip or whatever, and there is nothing else to eat, and I'm staring at, the Golden Arches, dude, I'm hitting that drive-in. Boom, hitting that, getting
What's your order?
I'll get Big Macs were rad because I love the thing. So I'd get like 4 or 5 of those, and then I've got a sweet tooth. I like, so I get a chocolate shake, and I'm not a big fry guy, but then I'd get a Coke to wash it down, and I just hammer. And then but now with In-N-Out, I'd like to say that's kind of the healthier
It is, yeah.
thing. And so, the 4-buys are awesome. But I try to play it off healthy and say I'd like the protein style. So it's just the lettuce wrap. And then I throw in a chocolate shake. So it really, makes it work, right?
Have you ever gone a 4-by?
Yeah,
What's the biggest you've gone?
that's it.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not into it. I'm fine with a double-double. Actually, I prefer the cheeseburger over the double-double.
I went 10 by 10 once.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
How do you even fit that in your mouth?
It was difficult. I think I didn't.
Knife and fork?
Yeah, I think you like really mash it down.
Why would you
smash
even
it
do
and all
that?
the juice coming out?
Yeah, because I think I figured out in college that, wait a second, it's only whatever it was like 25 cents or 50 cents per meat patty.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, this is a steal. So it was like a 10.
It was a value proposition?
It was a value proposition, yeah.
So you eat 4 or 5 Big Macs?
Well, that's not. I mean, let's say if I'm in Hawaii, which I'm not going to go to Hawaii, whatever. There'll be times I get out of the water and I'm just famished, and to go even now with COVID and all that, to go in and try to get a burrito made somewhere, just too much work. So I will, on my way to someone's house to dinner, I will go in and just slide into Mickey D's, and just get 3 or 4. Slam them down
3
and then
or
just
4?
go. Yeah, well, it just I don't
blows
know.
my
I'm always
mind.
just so hungry. And then, but granted, it's like after a day, you're not doing lunch, right? You'll eat something, but you're on the water the whole time. And then, granted, you need something, and then I'll go up and then I'll just power an insane dinner. I probably ruined the dinner.
Yeah.
And had they known that I've got to basically take, all the Mickey D's trash and all that and throw it away before I, come into the house.
I'm used to hiding fast food wrappers before going home.
From your wife?
Well, nah, I mean, I suppose I'll throw it in the neighbor's trash a lot. Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, she knows every day every Thursday after the podcast, like, I was thinking about it all the way up. Okay, what am I going to do?
Wow.
Am I going to do pickup sticks? Am I going to go for Panda Express? Should I try the Popeye sandwich again? Yeah, I was thinking. I mean, I think about it all.
So you got Chinese on the mind today.
I did have Chinese on the mind today.
Wow.
Pickup sticks, they'll let me down.
In what way?
I love saucy Chinese, but pickup sticks is like too saucy. Pickup sticks is how I broke bread with Matt Biolis, though, after I said he molested little boys, and then he got mad.
Wow. Do you want to unpack that story?
You don't remember that one?
I'm afraid.
I forget.
It was like one of the first things I think I ever wrote for Stab. I talked about how Lost used to be cool before they made energy drinks, and like vaguely hinted that Matt Biolis looked at little boys or something. I don't know
Because he was
thinking.
sponsoring so many young kids?
For no reason. For no good reason.
Wow.
Yeah, just like...
See, Chuck, we went light on you last week.
Just to throw gas on the fire, right?
There was no pedophilia talk last week, so... Holy cow, dude. And Matt forgave you?
Well, he called Derek and like, who is this? Who the hell is this? And Derek laughed and said, called me and said, go down and see him. Because Derek's always just looking for a good fight. And so I brought pickup sticks and thought, oh, well, that's nice. And then, Matt and I had a great conversation.
Smoothed it out.
That's pretty awesome.
It was it, yeah.
Dude, food is the way to many people's hearts.
Oh,
It is.
Pickup sticks the way to Matt Biolis. And if you need a board,
Speaking of boards, do you exclusively ride big waves?
No. So for me, you know what? I dabble in whatever the conditions go for. And I'm super into, I'm sure there's a lot of haters, but I love the foiling. I love, I've got a ton of cat surf soft tops that never leave my truck. I just, whatever it takes, but I can't say that I am a big wave. Like that's my drive. I have a bunch of guns and had a couple great sessions at Jaws, but I don't really follow it or chase it that much. Although this year's been a different year. So this year I kind of was all amped to go ski, which was my normal thing, was to go do that and film. And we had a dry year, and with all the waves that we've been having, it's been nice to get on the ski and go tow a couple spots. Paddling, I had one good day of Toto's paddling, but other than that, I kind of just go with the flow.
But if it's like a random Wednesday and there's 3-foot swell, do you go surf Salt Creek? 3-foot Salt Creek?
Nah, not really, unless it's firing or right off the points going. But more likely, I'll go to Sano and go foil, and it'll be an epic day and whatever. And then, or I'll throw, get on a log and go, surf. So, for me, I enjoy just getting in the water. It doesn't matter. But lately, it's been a lot of foiling.
But you're not gonna shortboard.
No, I've got a bunch of shortboards. I've been shortboarding recently a good amount, on the trips coming down. Went to the ranch and got really good shortboarding there. And then we got
the Ocean Ranch or the
ranch
Kelly's
up in
Kelly's Surf
No,
Ocean.
no. Ocean Ranch. Yeah, up by
Hollister.
Bixby's and all that. Yeah. So, but other than that, yeah, I'm kind of amped on that. But to go down a creek when it's so and gravels is going, whatever, it's got to be a little bit bigger for me.
So you're only going to surf good waves.
Well, I'd like to say, or just bigger. I mean, I'm a fat boy, so I need something to kind of get going.
I mean, you're fit.
You're going to be after we get you a McDonald's sponsorship. That's what's coming out of this show right here. You're going to beat Kai to the fast food punch.
I could see them introducing. I mean, I feel like they have kind of tried to offer salads and introduce a healthier version.
No, hell no. But he's eating 4 Big Macs. Like you just sitting it all the way back. But it's
we'll operate as your management team.
You got. I mean, I feel with the name Chuck though, like biting off Chuck Norris a bit. The Chuck, like with kind of the mystique, except a guy who skis big waves. I feel I would eat the Chuck.
Totally.
The Chuck. What kind of sauce does the Chuck have on it?
Well, first of all, it's made out of ground chuck.
Yeah,
that's right.
So there's that tie-in. I don't know. You would have to tell us what is your go-to.
Are you a teriyaki on burger?
I'm thinking kind of like a southwestern.
Ooh, right up Chaz's alley.
Like a southwestern, a touch of Thousand Island, like just the kind that just drips and goes.
Yep.
Do you want a hatch chili on it?
Ooh, I don't. I'm not that big of a messy guy when it comes to that. I'd rather have avocados, bacon, and and Swiss cheese on it, and then chicken on the side.
We just made
for
it.
the fries.
Into a Chuck.
How do you feel about an onion ring on it?
Love.
Okay,
love
perfect.
it.
That's my kind of burger right there.
All right, we'll be contacting McDonald's later today.
No, but I mean, to go back to the McDonald's things, there's only certain places. If I can't say that's my go-to, but it becomes very convenient. And I'm not saying I do it every day, but once a month, I'll probably suddenly go, dude, I'm hungry. I don't care. And it'll go in, out, quick, done deal.
This is blowing my mind. Yeah. It really is. Okay, I mean, you're fit. You're very fit. For listeners, if they want to build a physique like yours, what is the number one thing that you could suggest to them?
Routine. I mean, it's just training. It kind of goes hand in hand. You got to eat. I mean, I eat really well. My gal cooks insane, and I probably am probably work her to the bone on it, because I just go, so what are we gonna have for dinner? And it's always killer salads, chicken, whatever. My demise is I have a gnarly sweet tooth. So, that's, if I could cut that out, I'd probably be healthy. But for anybody out there, I'm just saying, get a routine in the gym or just being outside and doing it every day and eating somewhat healthy.
So what is the routine? What is the gym routine? What's cross training look like for you for
me?
Sports?
I mean, it's important for me to get a foundation of being in the gym and just doing the weight stuff, the heavy lifting part, and then being out, and whether it's running stairs or just running down to the beach to go surf, and always being active. I mean, my goal is to have at least 2 hours in the water every day, or at least 6 days a week.
So it's like physical activity in the ocean or in a sport, and then also weight training.
Exactly. And then a lot of times I'll probably double it up, or I'll go surf in the morning, and then train, kind of midday, and then suddenly a buddy will go, dude, let's go mountain bike, and then we'll go throw in 17 miles, till sunset, and then I come back, but they all kind of go hand in hand. I mean, it kind of just, for me, I'm lucky I probably should be working every day, but I've kind of milked it a little bit. So I have that time, and I think staying busy, being outside at least, allows me to feel like, hey, I'm not wasting my time.
You mentioned a construction business. Do you still have that?
No, I can go back and do it, and stuff, but I partnered up with a friend and did it for a long time, and then started making good money to where I kind of was like, dude, I'm just going to walk away from it, and was very lucky to be able to do that. And then I've since come back and done odd jobs, especially now with COVID and stuff, just to, stay sane and do stuff around, my neighborhood and whatever.
I just want to figure out for myself and for listeners, how do we get 2 hours in the water a day?
I'm with you. You know what? I'm not the one to look up to on that, because I know everybody's working hard. This is super hard times right now. And I think the big thing is, now the days are getting a little bit longer. So summertime, I feel like it's very easy, because we can work that 8-hour grind or whatever we need, and then still have some time out there. So it's either early in the morning or in the evening.
Got it. Can we go to commercial break and come back, and you can play barrel or gnaw with us?
So much fun.
Awesome. Let's do it. All right, we're back. Do you understand the concept of barrel or not, Chuck?
No, I think you're gonna have to kind of get me on
It's
point.
thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yep.
Barrel means I'm super into it.
Okay.
This thing is so barrel. Nah is obvious. Nah is like, I'm not into this at all. I've got 3 topics of discussion. I usually try to pull them from the weekly news or something relatable. Number 1, wall hangers.
Wall hanging surfboards.
Surfboards
as art.
Like, let's say you order a pipeliner from Jerry Lopez now, and he shapes it in Oregon, ships it down to you. You pay top price for it. Or
$1,200. How much is a Jerry Lopez?
Oh, probably
25.
more.
Okay.
Yeah,
25. So, you know, what the question is, would you ride that board? Would you just hang it on the wall? Or is it even okay to order a board specifically as a wall hanger?
That last part, I'd have to give it a thumbs down.
A nah.
You're going nah on wall hangers.
Yeah.
If you're going to order a board, you want to surf it.
I want to at least surf it once, so then I have a reason for. It's such a great craft. I mean, like, especially let's say Jerry Lopez. To me, that is like insane. So I'd have to at least ride it to understand what was going through his hands when he was shaping that thing, and whether it sucked or not. You know, if I didn't use it anymore and the thing was beautiful looking, minty, I'd probably throw it up there. But I'd have to use it.
Would you scrape the wax before you hang it?
Have to.
Really?
Yeah, I'd make that thing look plush, because I'm sure I'd hear from my gal going, "Are you serious? You putting that thing up there like that?" And then, you know, if it got warm, you know, on one of these days, and suddenly, you know, wax is dripping on the floor, I don't know.
What do you think, barrel or not? Wall hangers.
I'm a big barrel, but not on actual surfboards. I mean, on like a Jerry Lopez. If you order a board, like, don't get a stinking album board and stick it on your wall. Those are meant to be ridden. I'm talking about like the $15,000 Chanel board or whatever. You know, those like
That's
the
barrel for you?
Yeah. So
God.
if you have $15,000 to blow on a Louis Vuitton surfboard that you hang on your wall, to me it makes such a mockery of everything we're about. Which at the end of the day, surfing is a mockery of life, right? That's all surfing is. It mocks life.
No.
This isn't life. It's a mockery of life. Yeah.
You lost me.
That is peak
You lost
mockery.
me at Chanel.
That is peak. It's rounding the circle for what we do. The most ridiculous pastime ever invented by Peruvians, surfing. And this is peak ridiculousness.
So
a Chanel a Chanel board on the wall.
So if you won the
$15,000.
lotto and you bought, just to mock surfing, you bought the Chanel board for $15,000.
Yes.
You would not ride it.
I'd surf it first.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. So now we're back on the same page.
If I won, I'd buy 2. One would be in my quiver. The other one would be, and it'd be the only board I surfed. No matter what, no matter the conditions, I'd be on the Chanel board. The other one would be on the wall.
I feel like Stab did a feature with Jack Freestone riding those boards.
Somebody
like they
did.
bought 2 or 3, like a Chanel one, the Louis Vuitton one.
I was vaguely familiar.
Who do you think made those boards? Do we know? Hayden made?
Yeah, it's Hayden made one for somebody fancy. I don't think Hayden made the Chanel or
Vuitton,
right. But it's I'm gonna find out who made the Chanel and order one for $15,000.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we crowdfund this?
Yeah, hopefully. Our crowdfunding doesn't work very well.
So you're going nah on wall hangers unless they're surfed first. Is that what we're agreeing upon?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to surf a board. If you're going to buy a board, you got to surf it.
I mean, I think it would be kind of like it'd be kind of a bummer. I mean, I'm sure Jerry Lopez probably has a lot of them that customers that are just wall hanging them. But I think for Jerry Lopez, and I've gotten to know him, I would be stoked to just put that thing in the water and just see why.
I mean, the thing is, most people are going to buy a pipeliner from Jerry Lopez, which almost has zero applicability today. Yeah. You know, like
for sure.
Where are you going to ride that board?
Yeah.
Maybe I mean, nobody's going to even paddle that out at Pipeline.
True.
So, but you would still want to at least get it in the water. That you have to.
Okay, what if though? Here's a slight deviation here. You're at the Surfboard Museum. What's it called again?
Shack.
Yeah, the Southern
Surfing Heritage and Culture Center.
There you go.
On point.
You're in there, and they said, "Hey, we have an extra Tom Curran Black Beauty in here. It's one that he rode somewhere. We just want it to go to a good home. Do you surf that, or do you wall hang it?"
I would surf that.
I would surf
that
that
board's
too.
surfable for sure.
Duke Hanamoku's wooden plank.
Wall hanger.
You don't.
So that
Although, how rad would that be? I would be kind of. It would kind of be a way to go way back in history
true.
and just kind of feel like, dude, this thing doesn't turn for shit.
So that's
true.
I would surf any board that I got from Shaq. Any historical board, I would
Okay.
have to surf it because that would be the whole point of it, is not to display it, is to feel whatever that magic board was, right?
I guess so.
I would surf
I
from
guess so.
Dukes to Kelly's to an AI board.
A Dick Brewer gun, a Pat
Any of
Curran
them.
gun.
Any of them. Yep.
I'm totally
snap
in
it.
agreement with that.
All right.
For sure.
All right. It's official.
Shaq, let us come surf your boards.
Barrel or non number 2, playing the lotto. This week, there was 2 $800 million jackpots. The Powerball and the Mega Millions.
800 million. I'll open up here
800 million with a B.
with a knob, because what you get once you play the lotto is money, then your kids kill themselves, and then you kill yourself. I think that's
There is a curse of the lotto. They've made TV shows about this.
yeah.
That's right.
But wait, you're implying that by playing the lotto, you win?
Well,
I
if
don't
you
think
win,
you ever
Yeah, I'm kind of going, wow, he has got solid thoughts there. I'm like, wow.
you're lucky if you win. I mean, you're lucky if you don't win. That's winning the lotto is playing and losing. Otherwise, everyone in your family is committing suicide,
So,
including you.
do you play the lotto?
No.
Chuck, do you play the lotto?
I don't, but the funny thing was when I heard earlier this week that was like that, I'm all, babe, should just go down and get a couple tickets. But you never win. When I was younger, I did have a funny thing. I found a wallet and had like, I think $50 in it. And, I was a skater kid. I just tossed it, whatever, dumb thing. But anyway,
You kept the 50
I
bucks
kept the
and tossed
$50
the wallet?
and I bought all lottery tickets, and I ended up winning. I think it was $900.
What?
And back when I was a
as a
skater, I was
kid?
killer. So I ended up taking Greyhound bus to Huntington Beach. I was a skater and visiting a buddy of mine, all on that. So I was kind of like, dude, lottery's a good thing. But
And you're
have
into theft, too.
yeah,
This is
totally, dude, bad thing. How old was I? I think I was 15.
I mean, $900 as a 15-year-old though must have felt like
I felt like I was
you
a
were,
millionaire.
I mean, the richest man on earth.
Yeah, that could buy a lot of Big Macs, especially back then.
Did you buy the next door seat to you on the Greyhound too, just so you could strike? Oh, King Chuck. On
No,
the
but
Greyhound.
I think I got some karma on that one. I mean, it was definitely not the coolest thing to do. So I don't want to put that out there that's rad, but I was young, dumb, and stoked to skate. So, but as far as lottery, I don't know, the idea of winning it. And I'm with you on the suicide thing here and there, but I kind of would like to think all of us come from, you work hard for the money that you get nowadays. Dude, would it change your life? I mean, like, would it change you as a person inside? I mean, maybe, but would you allow it? Like, I look at myself going, look, I worked my butt off for it. And to get, let's say 10 million, you get $10 million. Like, what would you do? I mean, would you change your life? If you had a 9-to-5 job, yeah, that's gone. But would I still travel? I'd travel my brains out. Would I waste money while I'm traveling, where I'm just getting, first class everywhere, and knowing the worth of, like, people spend $12,000 for first class going to Hawaii, where I can get the price $200 and I have, less leg room? Who cares? I'd probably travel business or whatever, but I don't think I'd let it roll me out.
Business is the gateway drug to suicide right there. You think, just go business. Next thing you know, you're in Emirates first class living room, gun to the temple. Ooh.
So barrel or not playing lotto?
He's barreling.
It's
Not a ski barrel though.
It's kind of a dream barrel. It's really not
pocket
going to work,
ride.
but yeah, it's a pocket ride.
So this week I bought lotto tickets.
Oh,
I saw the billboard when I was driving home from work, and I'm like, what?
doing it.
I'm doing it. I pull into the liquor
Screw
store.
you, podcast career.
Yeah, I'm gonna ditch all you guys. I'm upgrading. So I bought. Apparently they're $2. I thought they were $1. They're now $2.
Inflation.
I spent $20.
oh,
So I bought, I think, 5 of each, 5 of the Powerball, 5 of the Mega. And I will tell you, it was very barrel, because for that $20, we got to fantasize for 48 hours the palatial life that we would be living by Thursday. And it was like, what are you going to do with the money? What was the first thing that you would buy? You know, I would give $1 million to a bunch of people in my life, just like free and clear. Here's $1 million, pay off your house, pay whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and the fantasy of that was worth the $20. But while I was there at that liquor store, I saw some sad people. There was 2 different women who were like in business attire, scratching stuff, checking. One of them was like checking the tickets in a machine. And they were head down, focused, spending time doing this. And it made me realize they do this every week. This isn't just because it's $800 million. And that made me sad that like they're actually.
Did it make you suicidal?
It made me wonder how close they were, because they were hinging like their life and dreams on this thing that I agree flies in the face of the hard work ethic that you're talking about. Like, I never planned on winning the lotto. I like to fantasize about it for 1-2 day period, but I was never going to replace my actual work ethic with that dream. And I realized that there's a lot of people that probably play it week in and week out. And by the way, spend a bunch of money that they should be probably focused on doing something else with, you know? And so the whole experience was twinged in sadness for the vast majority of people who actually invest heavily in the lotto as a retirement plan, you know? But I liked living the fantasy for a minute.
Oh, you know what? The way you explained that, I was impressed on that, because that you're totally right. You have that fantasy. And then the next question would be like, if you go to Vegas, do you gamble? Do you like gambling?
We've had that on Barrel or Not before.
Love Vegas so much. I don't gamble.
Yeah.
I'm anti.
I think I did it a couple times where I just had 100 to just throw out, and I had a couple hours of fun, and then I was like, dude, you work too hard for it, so I'm over it.
So that is the exact equation: is how much entertainment does this money provide me?
True.
And the $20 investment for the lotto provided 48 hours of entertainment. Vegas, I feel like $100 goes away immediately. Yeah. It's not enough return on that investment.
And you can look at $20. You can go see a movie for that.
Exactly.
So
4 Big Macs.
Cool.
Netflix for $13.99 a month provides dozens of hours of entertainment.
Right.
You know. So okay, so we're all going nah on playing lotto.
Going nah. Except for you. You went Barrel.
Somebody's got to win it. That's the thing.
Somebody's got to win it.
Somebody made $800 million this week.
The silly odds, to me, are totally pointless, because it doesn't matter what the odds are. Somebody is going to win.
Yeah.
That somebody could be you.
Exactly.
Oh, we should get Lotto as a sponsor.
That's what they want you to believe.
Yeah.
Remember when we were kids? I don't know if you guys remember. When we were kids, they advertised that the Lotto, the money
goes to pay for schools.
Pay for
that's
schooling.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our schools are still terrible.
Yeah.
Like the amount of money that they're raking in, because by the way, if they're paying out $800 million, that means they're earning
billions.
1.6.
I mean, way
billion probably, or
way
more than that, right?
I think it's a cash
cow.
So
from that profit, and that's week. Well, it's not that high every week, but from that profit, shouldn't our schools be like, like Ivy League institutions at this point?
You'd think.
I mean, look
Where's
at
that money going?
You look at San Clemente. I mean, you're kind of going, man, that place could have so much stuff going. Besides the solar.
We need a journalist to dig into this. And
we
figure
do.
Out what's
Too
going
bad
on.
there's none here.
Too bad. All right, final Barrel or Not, poetry. Yesterday was the inauguration of the 46th president, and the highlight really that I've seen from the headlines was the young girl, the youngest poet laureate ever at an inauguration. I didn't listen to her poem, but poetry, Barrel or Not.
I'm going to go Barrel, because poetry is the surf journalism of literature. It is a weird backwater that nobody really looks at, but is vibrant and fun.
When did you last read poetry? Can you name one modern poet?
Sure. T.S. Eliot. Oh, he's not modern.
Living, working poet.
M.
I would argue, Bob Dylan's a poet. Whatever. Those guys make their living
singing songs. I know.
Selling records. I mean,
Yeah.
who's making a living? How do they even find that girl?
She's the youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history.
Right.
Yeah.
Is she making a living as a poet?
Now she is.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Chuck, are you into poetry?
You know what?
Poetry is the big wave skiing of the literature world.
You ever woo your girlfriend over candlelight reading her a poem?
No, but I do have to say, like in school, I did like it because there was no right or wrong way. It was how you put it down. So for me, it was kind of an easy thing.
So you
It'd be like,
actually
that's
wrote
how I
poet-
felt.
you wrote
I
poetry?
remember having to do it in literature, but I like to think of all the sports that we do, especially surfing. It's like poetry, So I mean, yeah, I'd have to give it a barrel.
Wow.
Are you unbarreling poetry?
As I was listening, I did watch a couple of clips where that girl portions of her poem, and I was like,
You thought
poetry's pretentious. Like,
you thought I could do that, didn't you? You rude.
I'm pretty good with words.
You rude white male.
Here's what I thought about it. I thought, what is poetry? How do you even define poetry? It doesn't have to rhyme. Yeah. Like, so if I just put words together in a fanciful way, I can just call it a poem. Once you call it a poem, it's pretentious. So I'd rather just wordsmith in a way that's entertaining and not call it poetry and just be known for being pretty good at words or something, or maybe put that into a song and that becomes a song. But calling it poetry is now pretentious.
You should audition for the pretty good at words inaugural speaker. They'll have the inaugural poet and the guy who's pretty good at words.
We do that weekly here on the show. Okay, check this out. A listener actually emailed this week in response to our conversation about the Capitol insurrection, or as Chaz calls it, the non-insurrection. And he was taking delivery of his 8.0 Bing collector surfboard the day after they stormed the Capitol. And this is the email that he wrote to us. He said, "This insane week of politics and swell, a messy new mixture of heaven and hell, a new year, new diet, I'm a healthier man, but going booze-free this month was a questionable plan. From TV's images of the rioting horde, what diverts my attention, it's done, my new board. Precautions from COVID being what they are, I had it shipped here, though my shaper's not far. A board for summer, but I'll try it sooner. When age comes from freedoms, I'll go out for a nooner. With age comes some freedoms, and I'll go out for a nooner. And here's a lolly weekend coming in on a vector. The perfect Saturday for my new collector. Call it a mid-length, but yes, we all know I can't paddle or turn the way I used to, bro. Democracy teeters on a perilous ledge, but my new 8.0 Bing really takes off the edge. When there's chaos ashore, it can focus the mind to paddle out for one more out there in the brine."
Bravo.
Wow.
How
that's
about
that poet laureate.
Wow. That's
beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah. Very well
Barrel poetry or nah?
Barrel.
Yeah. He just convinced everybody in the room. That was Casey, a fellow Oregonian.
Casey.
Like Chaz, who now lives in SoCal.
Casey, thank you.
That is awesome.
You buoyed our spirits.
Totally unsolicited. I just opened the email, get a random poem about a Bing.
That is
Bravo.
really cool.
Bravo.
And he could have ended it so many sentences. I mean, he just went, it was like so well done.
It went on too long is what you're saying?
No. I'm just saying, I mean, like the sentences were so well done that you could have just ended the thought right there, but he just kept going. It was
It's like he's a professional writer.
It is.
This is our audience. Chuck, these are the new followers that you're going to have on Instagram this week.
Huge fans coming from the surf splendor world.
Yeah.
And it just
Beach
goes
grit
down to
world.
you have to get really, maybe I do all my posts and I just write them, in poetry.
Great idea.
I think poetry is going to be all the rage. After Inauguration Day, after this and our influence,
Poetry is the
gonna
future.
There's going to be people making a living off poetry.
Yep.
Again. All right. Well, we owe a shout out to Album Surfboards. We forgot to mention it at the top of the show, but they've built this amazing studio for us, and it's pretty incredible.
And I was looking, thanks to Album, love it. Great boards, been ripping one all week. But also, I looked today, Chuck Patterson came on a important day in our show's history. This is the 100th show today.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah, I feel very honored.
Celebratory. We didn't even celebrate.
No, we did.
Where's our chicken sandwich?
They're coming next on
They
101.
I'll go delete one out of the archive that nobody liked. Well, hey, Chuck, you've been a phenomenal sport. Thank you for taking our banter in jest and playing along with us. So thanks, man.
No, my pleasure. I mean, you guys, I have to say, we listened to a couple of your podcasts and stuff, and you guys do a lot of cool, different people, and it's awesome. So I'm very honored and truly stoked on the one that I heard that was about me, and I didn't take any offense to it. I thought it was actually great. The great thing about both you guys really are like a teeter-totter. So if one likes it, the other one doesn't, and you guys play it off well, which I think makes great listening.
Thanks. It's taken years to develop.
Yeah.
But Had you ever heard of either one of us before?
I did. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chaz
So-
mainly, or yeah.
Chaz. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up from Beach Grit or read his books?
From Beach Grit. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Awesome. Well, Chaz, do you have any final words you want to sign off with? No?
I'm just going to McDonald's now.
All right.
Chuck changed my mind.
All right, Chaz, until next week.
Get barrel.